Hey everyone, welcome back to TOPHER Drives, where this week has been a little bit different, and that is because I have spent it driving this, a 2024 Volkswagen Tiguan S. Now you may be wondering, why is a very bland silver crossover any different? And that is because generally when manufacturers give us our press loans for the week, they send the absolute top trim. And well, this week they didn't. They sent this, a base model, a front-wheel drive, cloth interior Volkswagen Tiguan. And at first I was like, I have to drive around in this base model Econo box, but then I remembered, this is not something we often get the chance to do. We never really get to see how a car comes standard, and this is as standard as it gets. This thing has no options. It's silver. It's got the wheels off the bottom of a grand piano, as Jeremy Clarkson would say, and I kind of like it for that. So let's talk about what this thing comes with standard. So with the S, you get LED headlights, you get a leather-wrapped steering wheel, you get heated seats, you get adaptive cruise control, and you get third row seats, which is a bit weird, and we'll get into that once we get inside. But I think it's cool to see how this thing comes if you are to just order it standard with no options. This thing starts $28,800 with destination. This one is just over 30 grand. So technically it starts below 30, but by the time it gets to you, you're paying around $30,000. There's 4 trim levels to the Tiguan: S, SE, SE R line, and then there's an SEL with all of the things. That's 40 grand. So this is $10,000 cheaper than the top trim, which is what we would normally be driving. So today we're just going to drive around in this thing. I'm going to talk to you about what it's been like to live with this week, and we'll go on some sort of a commute because I want to see if this is like annoying to kind of live with in day-to-day life on sort of a commute fashion on the highway with traffic and other cars around. Obviously I have done that this week, but I want to kind of portray that to all of you. I don't actually have anywhere to go today, but we're going to commute to nowhere. So let's start in the back. Open this thing up, where you'll find that we don't even have a power liftgate. You have to get the SE for that. So the S just comes with a normal handle, which I kind of like. I miss the days of just being able to slam your hatch shut without having to wait for the stupid thing to shut. Oh, see, look at that. I'm programmed to just have it be auto. There we go. So as I mentioned, we have third row seats in this car, which is super strange. I had no idea that the Volkswagen Tiguan could even fit third row seats. I had heard about it in the past that you could get it as an option, but it just comes standard now. So here they are. They're very small, and you have to be a very small individual or a child to actually fit back here, but you guys know I'm going to try it and show you if I can actually fit back here. Space behind them, honestly not too bad. You can fit probably all your shopping for you and your significant other back here. And joy of joys, we have a spare wheel in this car. Check that out. It is a space saver. It's not a full size, but it'll get the job done for you if you have a flat, and you don't have to use a goop kit. You just bolt that bad boy on. And this stays up as well. It doesn't fall in your face. What else? Well, you can fold the third row seats pretty simply, and well, it's so cramped back here that they do actually rub on the second row, but you can, of course, move the second row up to make things make a little bit more sense for you as far as if you're putting people or things in here. We have headrests that go up. We're going to leave that one up for the time being so I can actually sit back there. Nice. And quickly investigate that third row seat. And then we'll hop on the road. Nice audio from that Dodge Ram. So that slides forward quite a bit, and you can actually step back here. You've got a little indent here to step back. Now, when I say this third row is on the floor, it is on the floor. I'm sitting back here with my knees in my chest. This reminds me of the Mitsubishi Outlander that we tested, which I think is the only other car in this segment that offers a third row. And it's just kind of silly to me to even offer a third row, but I mean, I guess, I don't know, my head's touching the ceiling, my knees are in the back seat, and in front of me there's only just enough space for another one of me to sit. So this is the reality of sitting back here, which is why I said you have to be very small or a child, which is all this is for. I mean, I don't really think Volkswagen intended for adults to be sitting in this third row, which is why I think it's kind of silly. I don't know, but I mean, for 28 grand, a car with a third row seat, kind of neat. I guess I should stop saying 28 grand because it isn't realistically 28,000, it's 30,000. Anyways, I'll fold this back. And we'll hop in this second row seat, which, bear with me here, does actually have a couple of things in it. And by a couple of things, I mean 2 vents. That's about it. You've got nothing on the seat backs. You do have a console that folds down here, an armrest for a couple of beverages. And you have a little car charger, but there are no USB ports. There's no sort of dimension to anything back here, apart from some white stitching on the door panels, but they don't match otherwise. Volkswagen is famous for this. They just kind of throw everything away when it gets to the back seat. And you can see on our front door panels, we have this nice silver trim, not continued into the back, though I will give them some credit for having this kind of leather white stitched arm elbow rest area. But generally Volkswagen, they stop spending money when they get to this portion of the car. Here's our dashboard situation. Before we hop up there, let's show you under the hood, and we'll talk about what powers this Tiguan. You'll be very surprised to know it is a 2-liter turbocharged 4-cylinder engine. It's got about 180 horsepower, 220 pound-feet of torque. I think it's 184 horsepower. I don't know, doesn't really matter. Somewhere in the ballpark. Wow, there it is. That's a 2-liter turbo. Who started the 2-liter turbo trend? Because everybody just has a 2-liter turbo now. So in this car, power is sent to the front wheels only via an 8-speed automatic transmission. You can have a 4-motion S, but you have to pay extra. So the only time it comes standard is in the SEL R line. So on all the other trims, you have to pay extra for all-wheel drive, but whatever. This one today's front-wheel drive. I've only ever driven 4-motion Tiguans prior to this car. We have cloth seats in here, but they are stain resistant, whatever that means. If you want to have the faux VW Tex leather thing, you have to go and upgrade to the SE trim, which is one up from this. But I will say, I'm a pretty big fan of how things look up here for what we have from the perspective of a base model car. This is a very nice leather-wrapped flat bottom steering wheel. It's an attractive design. It works well. It feels nice in the hands. And we don't have the stupid haptic touch buttons that you get on the higher trim R-line cars. Additionally, we have this little 8-inch display, but you still get Apple CarPlay and you still get a volume knob. And I think just design-wise up here, everything is nice. Let's shut this and we'll start it up. Start stop button is down here by the shifter. One thing that's very annoying about Volkswagens, and Volkswagen owners will be able to validate me here, is that the actual icon on the volume knob spins with the volume knob. So you kind of have to put it all the way back around until it is in the center again, but then that turns it up, so you have to just kind of use the steering wheel controls. Maybe that's just me that it bothers, but this is just a cute little display. It's got CarPlay. It does everything you need it to do. We have no in-house navigation, but you just use your Apple CarPlay navigation, and you're fine as far as that goes. Well, the dashboard is just one big molded piece of rubber. Like I mentioned, we have this silver trim. We have no automatic climate control. It's just the old school set to blue or red and pick your vent speed. That doesn't really bother me too much because, to be honest with you guys, I don't really use the auto function on climate control unless I'm going somewhere very far. I just want to regulate things. Heated seats are standard here in the S, and boy, do they get hot. They feel nice. The only thing I'm missing here is a heated steering wheel, and unfortunately, you have to have the top trim to get a heated steering wheel, which I think is kind of silly. I think maybe in the SE it should be an option, but you have to go all the way up to the SEL to get the heated steering wheel. So that's a little bit unfortunate. Center console, glove box, very deep and cavernous glove box, nice. We've got a slick top here on the Tiguan, no sunroof. And with this being, yes, somebody did leave their sunglasses in here from whoever drove this last. So I don't really know that they suit my style, but I need to let Volkswagen know that somebody's sunglasses are in here. That just reminded me. CarPlay is wired, and we have 2 USB-C ports down here. Okay, enough babbling. Let's go ahead and hit the road in this little base model Volkswagen Tiguan. We have just a very traditional shifter. Feels nice in the hands. Backup camera quality is, I don't want to be mean, but it's not very good. It kind of looks like you're looking through the camera of an iPhone 4. Into drive. And the 2-liter buzzes to life. It's certainly not the smoothest of powertrains. It's a little bit grainy. But we've got a nice steering weight here. This car is nice to maneuver around. Generally light steering, which I like for a car like this. You know, I don't really understand the whole heavy, sporty steering with cars in this segment. It's never really made too much sense to me. We have auto start stop. You can turn that off on the right-hand side of the shifter. No drive modes in this car. If you opt for the SEL, you do get a little drive mode selector right here. That would be right below the shifter. In a car like this, do you really need drive modes? I don't think so, especially when the SEL top trim has the same 2-liter turbo as this car. Today we're riding on a set of Goodyear Assurance all-season tires, which is part of the reason why we have no grip. But the other reason is because whoever tuned the throttle on this car, I suspect, has never driven a car in their entire life, because it just makes absolutely no sense. Here we go. 10% throttle, and it's just spinning the wheels. Not only is it too touchy, it isn't consistent. You can leave your foot in one place and you have nothing and then everything all at once. So I don't really understand that. We had a similar problem with the Volkswagen Atlas about 3 years ago, and I figured by now maybe they would have had things sorted out. Yeah, there you go. I promise you, I'm not even trying to be dramatic here. I'm just giving a normal amount of throttle and it's spinning its wheels. So from that perspective, it has actually been kind of annoying, especially when I've had Emily with me and, you know, she's had her matcha or whatever, and we've been sitting in traffic and I'm trying to smoothly go forward, and the car is lurching so hard that, you know, drinks are spilling and things. And I consulted TheTopher on this because we've talked about it in the past, and he assured me that this is just how it is. A story he told me is that when we had the Volkswagen Atlas a couple of years ago, he thought he was going insane and peeling out everywhere because he had such a lead foot and that he wasn't regulating his inputs properly. And then the nice fleet lady came to pick up the car, and when she was leaving his driveway, she peeled out in the neighborhood. So there is definitely an issue with that. It's just strange. Okay, let's get off of that topic for a second and let's talk about performance. Let's put our 8-speed into sport mode. Let's take this corner. That's all she's got, and to be honest, it's a very adequate amount of power. I have no issue with the 2-liter in this car, the 180 horsepower, the 220 pound-feet. I think it kind of suits this car well, and it's kind of just always been that way. Put this back into drive. You do have a manual function as well if you have interest in shifting your Tiguan manually. No paddle shifters, but honestly, this reacts pretty quickly, and it'll really give you the downshifts. Back into drive we go. Okay, let's do some real world driving now, and we'll kind of just continue to work through some of the little things with this car. You know, one thing I will say, going off of the bit of negativity about the throttle tuning and things of that nature, everything in here has a purpose, and everything in here fits together very nicely. No, they aren't the nicest materials on the dash and, you know, some surrounding areas, but the leather steering wheel, this little bit of leather on the shift boot, and the way the buttons feel, everything in here works, and it feels nice And there are no creaks, there are no rattles in the cabin of this Tiguan. And I think that's important because going off of what I said earlier, again, we get in these high trims of cars, and some of the higher trims use different materials, and you often wonder, are these put together better than a bargain base model car with no options? And as far as Volkswagen goes, I'm able to confirm today that the base model is put together just as nicely as the top trim. Everything in here is just nice. I mean, nothing really creaks. The knobs feel nice. I mean, you've got nice clicks for the knobs. Volume knob feels nice. All of these climate control things are all good. The heated seat is cooking me now. I'm going to turn that off. And you even get, with the base model, an 8-inch digital cluster. If you want to get the 12-inch one that spans the entire way, you have to get the SEL and spend 40 grand. But from where I'm sat and where I'm, what I'm experiencing, I don't see why you would go any higher than an SE on this car, because you get essentially everything you need here. And my old college roommate, Katie, had a Tiguan SE 4Motion, and actually she still has it to this day. She got it new in 2019 and she still has it. And she loves it. She's got 50,000 miles on it. It's never had any major problems, or any problems at all, I don't think. And that car has everything you need. So I think going for an SE and a 4Motion, if you live somewhere where it snows and you're driving up hills perhaps, then you should probably go for 4Motion. And the throttle tuning is better on the 4Motion car as well, because you don't have the ability to peel out because power goes to all four wheels. So standard in this Tiguan S is a 6-speaker unbranded sound system, and I went into this thinking it would be terrible. And it's actually not too bad. Volkswagens of the past have kind of just had garbage sound systems. For example, the Jetta that we drove last year was, I think, the worst sound system I've ever heard in any car. But this one isn't too bad, and I think what helps are these tweeters here in the door. They kind of bring everything to life a little bit, and they've kind of faked the subwoofer nicely as well with the sound system. Practicing proper SUV commuting here. I've got my iced chai latte. It's very good. I've recently switched from coffee. I've cut coffee out almost completely. Actually, 100% completely. I will say, once you are going, inputs are fine. Brake pedal, nice. Steering, nice. Ride, also nice. We have a good sidewall on these 18-inch wheels. And that's another thing we often don't get to experience, because the stupid high trim cars always have like 22-inch wheels on them, and the ride is too stiff. But in this car, we can experience what it is like to ride around on 18s. If I were in charge of companies, I would offer an 18-inch wheel on top trims, because it would just be better. This 8-speed does a good job of kicking down to the proper gear when you want to execute a pass. And throttle tuning is really not all that bad once you're rolling. Like I said, it's just coming from a stop is what gets you. So if you are going to be commuting in a Volkswagen Tiguan, maybe pick a Commute that doesn't have red lights or traffic. There is actually a noticeable amount of noise from these Goodyear Assurance tires. You all, I'm sure, can hear them through the camera as well. Even in deceleration. Yes. Which lane are you going to? It's the right one. Gentle. Very gentle. If you put it in your head and you really put a lot of thought into taking off in this car, you can sort of feather it at first and then pull off, and you are able to do a smooth start, but I'm not really interested in putting a ton of thought into my throttle inputs at 9 o'clock in the morning when I'm just driving to work. Even though it is 3 p.m. currently. Which, why is there so much traffic at 3 p.m.? I don't know. This Lincoln Corsair is just causing chaos, mayhem. look at this. She's got one of those little things you clean your mirror with. All right, got some good potholes here. We've had a lot of freezing and thawing in Michigan lately, but we've got a good sidewall today on the Tiguan, so we'll be able to soak it up. Yeah. I'll be honest, guys, ride quality in this thing is great. No complaints whatsoever for ride quality in this thing. Let's select S for merging. The Honda Civic in front of us did not select S. Let's shoot the gap. Kick down. Not bad. Pretty good amount of torque here. Good throttle response in S mode. Cool, so on your Tiguan S, you get adaptive cruise as standard. So let's go ahead and try that out here. We're set, we're locked onto the back of this Silverado, which doesn't have taillights, very strange. We can set our distance here with this button, further away or closer. Ooh, we're dropping back a bit. Do not want to be a left lane hog. Let's get moving. Let's select the middle lane. Anyways, as I was saying, we've got our distance selector here in the middle. I usually like to set this at the closest distance just because cars still give you enough distance even at the closest, but you do have 5 distance settings here in the Tiguan S. We do also have a number of different cluster displays here, which you can get by pressing this view button. You've got the big digital speedo there in the middle, which also gives you your average MPG since start. We've done 22, which is actually the city rating for this car. 29 on the highway is EPA rating. I've been seeing about 24, 25 MPG combined this week. And we also have a big analog look speedo there, which goes up to 160 miles per hour. Don't know that that's possible. I've been sticking here with the RPM gauge and the little speed down on the bottom right corner. I actually did the beginning of the week in this display. It's also nice. Don't always need that RPM gauge. Sometimes it's nice though to try and control your start to see how high the engine is revving. I think we also have some sort, so we have travel assist as well. I don't know how much this will actually steer for me. I haven't tried this yet. Or if it will at all. It may just kind of yell at you when you go out of the lane. There's nobody to my left. Nope, it is steering me. Okay. So pretty good suite of standard safety features here for your $30,000. How long will this drive? Okay, it'll drive for about 10 seconds before it yells at you. All right, we're gonna turn cruise off and we're gonna execute another pass here. Let's see passing power at 70 in D. We're gonna have to beat this Chrysler. Yeah, I mean, really all the torque that you need. Little bit of wind intrusion here, but nothing really crazy. This car does honestly and genuinely feel pretty well put together. I don't have any fit and finish build quality complaints with this car. I mean, nothing's rattling in here. Got about 2,000 miles on this thing, so it has been driven a bit by some other journalists who I'm sure have not been kind to it. Dropping a couple gears there. Cruise is nice there at a little bit of a higher speed. This is generally an area. Very good noise from that Camaro SS. As I was saying, this is generally an area I hate driving to. So I was hoping today to just kind of see if the Volkswagen Tiguan S would calm my nerves a bit. And, Well, I'll tell you, it's not making it worse. It's definitely not making it worse, and that's a good thing. This section of highway is basically the Autobahn. You just kind of have to, every man for themselves type thing. I would quite like to get over. Not necessarily an option, especially when you have a Subaru Outback. I have kind of shut the door on that Fusion though. Okay, let's get off of the highway. Just a mile short of 8 Mile. That's probably a good call. All right, guys. Well, that's just about gonna wrap it up here for us with our little commute to 7 Mile Road in the Volkswagen Tiguan S. And honestly, to wrap up my week with this car, 90% of it is quite good. It's better than I was expecting, and I've had a better week with this car than I anticipated. If they could just get the throttle tuning sorted out with this thing, and if they could offer maybe a couple of individual options, if I could have a heated steering wheel, if I could have a different color than silver, gray, white, or black on the S, which I didn't mention earlier, but that is true. You have to get an SE if you want red or blue, which I think is silly. But if they just offered a couple of different options, if they figured out this throttle tuning, I think this would be even more, even more value than it already is. So in today's little video, 23.3 mpg is going to be our ending number. To be honest with you guys, I don't particularly know where I am, so I'm just going to find a place to pull off and wrap this video, give you all one last look at the Tiguan. With everything being said, I would still wrap up and say this is a good amount of car for the money. In fact, I am surprised that they can sell this to you as cheaply as they can. So I appreciate the little things like the leather steering wheel, the heated seats, the LED headlights. They have given this car enough as a base model to make it feel a little bit upscale, and I do appreciate that. So go out and have yourself a Volkswagen Tiguan if that's how you'd like to spend your $30,000. I wouldn't tell you not to. Oh, is this a... I think this might be a fire station. Oh dear. Oh dear. I'm in the fire station. Good opportunity for a turning circle test though. Ah, yes. Quite good actually. Turning circle, that's good. Actually, one thing I want to test as I'm leaving the fire station. Oh, pretty good horn as well. Quite a commanding horn. Cool, guys. Well, that's going to wrap it up for us today. Thank you all so much for watching. Comment down below if you have any questions about this Volkswagen Tiguan S, and I will do my best to answer them. If I left anything out in this video, which I feel like was a little bit too long, but alas, here we are. There's our backup camera. Cool. Pop out, take one last look. That'll be it. Commute to here. Bunch of sports fields, I suppose. Cool, guys. Thanks again. I'll see you in the next one. Take care.